You're listening to the Power Agent Blogcast, empowering agents to elevate their business to the next level.
Challenges are just a guide, leading you, don't run and hide. You've got the heart, you've got the drive, feel it pound, you're alive. Power Agent.
You know, usually when we think about running a business, there's this expectation of pure cold logic.
Right.
Like, it's all about the numbers. You look at the balance sheet, you track the sales metrics, you calculate the profit margins, and you just assume that as long as those numbers are trending up, well, everything is perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's a comforting way to view the world, right? Because it's quantifiable. We like things to be visible. We want our business operations to fit neatly into this predictable formula where input just equals output.
Exactly. But then you step into the world of managing actual human beings, specifically leading a team of real estate agents, and suddenly that neat little formula is completely broken.
Completely broken.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of why your absolute best agents are actually leaving. And we're going to explore why it is rarely just about the money.
Yeah, it really isn't.
So whether you manage a bustling real estate brokerage, or you lead a team in a completely different industry, or you just want to understand the psychology of workplace loyalty, we're going to completely reframe how you think about keeping your best people around.
Because the mechanics of loyalty, they're universal. To really understand the invisible forces at play in your office, we have to start with a concept that's captured perfectly by Maya Angelou. She said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel."
Oh, wow. Yeah. That feeling is the exact metric that dictates who stays and who goes.
It really is.
So let's start by dismantling the biggest myth in real estate management, how and why agents actually leave. The common narrative is always this sudden dramatic exit, like a massive blowout over a desk fee.
Right, the door slams.
Yeah. But in reality, it's a slow fade. Picture this scenario. You built the team, you set the goals, you ran the meetings, you shared all the right scripts.
You did everything right.
Right. And yet, one of your absolute top producing agents just turned in their license and went to the brokerage right down the street for a slightly better commission split.
And it stings.
Yeah.
Because deep down, the split wasn't the real point. I mean, the money is just the excuse they gave on the way out the door.
Okay, let's unpack this. Doesn't everyone ultimately just leave for a better commission check at the end of the day? I mean,
Right.
We are talking about a highly competitive sales environment here. It's hard to imagine that feelings can outweigh cold, hard math when there are mortgages to pay and lifestyles to maintain.
See, that assumption makes total sense on paper. But it entirely misses the psychology of what happens when someone is reduced to a line item. Most agents, they do not leave in a dramatic blow-up over a specific percentage point.
They don't.
No, they drift. The disengagement happens slowly. And it happens quietly, long before they ever, update their LinkedIn profile to show they're looking for a new job.
Just what does that quiet drift actually look like in the day-to-day operations? Like, what are leaders missing?
It starts when an agent feels like they are just being managed rather than actually led. If the only time they hear from leadership is about hitting quotas or meeting deadlines or fixing compliance issues on their paperwork.
Just the transactional stuff?
Exactly. They internalize a very specific message. They internalize that their only value to you is what they produce. They become a row on a spreadsheet. And the reality is nobody gives their heart to a spreadsheet.
Nobody gives their heart to a spreadsheet. Man, that paints such a stark picture of the daily grind.
Right. When you reduce a person to their production value, you create a purely transactional relationship. And a purely transactional relationship is the absolute easiest thing in the world to walk away from.
Wow, yeah.
If your relationship with an agent is only about the transaction, then a slightly better split down the street is all it takes to break it. But that split is just the symptom.
It's not the root cause.
Right. The disease started months earlier, when they stopped bringing you their wins and started hiding their struggles because they just didn't feel seen as a human being.
So if treating people like numbers causes them to drift, we have to look at how well-intentioned actions from leadership can actually accelerate that disconnect.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of leaders genuinely believe they're leading, but they fall into the trap of one-size-fits-all coaching. They'll stand at the front of the room and coach the entire team as if everyone is the exact same person.
Which is incredibly alienating. I mean, you end up with a rookie who is absolutely drowning, desperately needing structure and a step-by-step plan.
Right, they need the basics.
Yeah, and they're sitting right next to a 15-year veteran who is just tuning out completely because nothing being said applies to their sophisticated pipeline.
It's like a doctor walking into a crowded waiting room and prescribing the exact same medication to every single patient, regardless of their symptoms. Of course, the patients are going to feel completely unseen. You can't give a cast to someone with a migraine and expect them to feel cared for.
That is a perfect analogy. And this raises an important question. What happens internally to the agent when that coaching doesn't fit?
They check out.
They logically conclude the leader doesn't truly understand who they are or what they need. That silent realization is the exact moment disengagement begins. They start to pull back emotionally from the team.
And when they pull back, the wins start going unnoticed. Like an agent lands a really tough listing after a month of trying, or they survive a brutal, highly contentious closing.
Which is so exhausting.
Right. Or they finally build a new daily prospecting habit that was really hard for them, but no one says a word.
And we have to remember that recognition is oxygen.
Oxygen, yeah.
When that oxygen is missing, even the biggest professional accomplishments start to feel incredibly hollow. Humans have a fundamental psychological need to be validated for their effort, not just their output. When people aren't celebrated where they currently are, their eyes inevitably start wandering to find a place where they will be.
Without that recognition, the mission of the whole team shrinks. It just becomes, go sell something. Prospecting starts to feel like begging. Follow-up feels like a total chore because there is no deeper purpose driving the action.
And real estate is deeply emotional work. I mean, agents are carrying the heavy expectations of their clients, the financial stress of closing deals, the sting of constant daily rejection.
So much rejection.
So much.
Yeah.
And their own personal lives all at the exact same time. It is heavy, heavy load to carry every single day.
If the culture doesn't provide a safe space to process all that stress, agents just, they armor up.
Exactly.
They put on a fake smile in the Tuesday sales meeting, they pretend their pipeline is totally fine, and then they secretly interview elsewhere. It proves that real culture isn't about having fancy snacks in the break room.
Not at all.
It's about whether an agent can have a truly terrible week and still feel like they belong on the team.
That armoring up is a survival mechanism. If the environment dictates that they can't be vulnerable, that they can't raise a hand and say, I'm struggling and I need help, then they have to protect themselves. Right. And a guarded, protected agent who can't be honest with their leader is already halfway out the door.
So if agents are armoring up because they feel unsafe, we have to ask why the environment feels so precarious in the first place. Like, what is the leader projecting that causes that?
Well, this is where leadership has to look in the mirror. A lot of this toxicity stems from leaders who lead from a place of scarcity. And often is because they were never poured into themselves earlier in their careers.
Oh, that makes sense.
They were managed by a spreadsheet, so they managed by a spreadsheet.
They withhold praise because they never received it, and they confuse applying pressure with actual motivation. You simply cannot pour from an empty cup.
You really can't.
So what does this all mean for the leader who genuinely thinks they're doing a good job, but is just totally stressed out and running on empty themselves?
What's fascinating here is how that exhaustion manifests as inconsistency. One week, the leader is warm, supportive, and ready to brainstorm solutions.
They're doing great.
Yeah, but then the next week, they are completely absent or highly critical because they're stressed about their own numbers. This kind of inconsistency actively trains your team that your support is unreliable. It's a behavioral conditioning process.
It's like reaching out to pet a dog one day and then yelling at it for being near you the next. The dog just learns to avoid you entirely to stay safe.
Exactly. Agents watch your actions far more than your words. You can say you have an open door policy, but if you sigh heavily every time they walk in, they learn to stop depending on you.
Wow.
Trust is built through consistency, and it is absolutely shattered through inconsistency. Once an agent makes that internal decision that they cannot count on you when things get hard, their loyalty evaporates.
And the most insidious part of all of this is that not a single one of these interpersonal failures shows up on a profit and loss statement until it is far, far too late.
No, it doesn't.
You won't see the quiet drift in the monthly revenue column while it's actually happening.
Because financial metrics are lagging indicators. They measure the past, not the present emotional state of your team. By the time the spreadsheet tells you there's a problem, like when revenue suddenly drops because your top producers left, the relationships have been dead for months.
Yeah.
You cannot manage retention by looking at a balance sheet.
So we've identified the invisible forces that destroy loyalty and the lagging metrics that blind us to the problem. Let's pivot to how we actively build a culture that agents simply refuse to leave. Because there is a powerful methodology for this in the sources, and it centers around this concept of the chef.
Yeah, think about a master chef in a high-end kitchen. They can cook a specific dish 1,000 times, but they know that every single plate has its own nuance.
Right.
A chef knows that if you apply the exact same high heat to a delicate piece of fish as you do a thick cut of steak, you will completely ruin the fish.
So in leadership, that heat is pressure. If you apply the exact same high-pressure confrontational coaching tactics to an anxious rookie that you apply to an underperforming thick-skinned veteran, you're going to burn out the rookie before they even get started.
Exactly.
Every agent on your team is their own dish, and your job as a leader is to figure out exactly what specific environment they need to thrive.
And the non-negotiable ingredient across the board for every single person on your team is making them feel valued. This feeling of being deeply valued acts as a literal shield.
Shield.
Yes, it protects the agent when the broader housing market turns sour, or when a massive deal collapses at the 11th hour, or when a client treats them terribly.
Because they know their leader genuinely has their back. People who stand on solid ground don't rattle easily. You can get 100 little leadership tactics wrong, but if your team knows you are unequivocally in their corner, you are building something durable that can withstand market shifts.
But you have to operationalize it. Recognition cannot just be a happy accident or something you only do when you happen to remember. It needs to be a standard operating procedure.
An SOP.
Right. It has to be baked into the daily routine of the business.
And here's where it gets really interesting. There is a specific Monday morning ritual to make this a standard operating procedure.
Wow, this is so good.
On weekly coaching calls, you open the meeting with wins of the week. Every single agent names something they accomplished in the last 7 days. It could be landing a big listing, or establishing a new prospecting habit, or even just a personal win like taking Sunday completely off to be with their family. And this ritual costs absolutely $0.
It changes the entire psychological framing of the week for the whole team.
Let me push back on this a little bit, though, because I can hear a busy broker right now listening to this and saying, we don't have time to sit around and sing Kumbaya on a Monday morning. We have hard quotas to hit, properties to move, and fires to put out. This sounds a little too soft.
Sure, I hear that a lot.
How do you justify the return on investment for spending valuable meeting time sharing feelings when there's money on the table?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is the furthest thing from soft. There's a massive, measurable business value to baseline happiness. Neurologically, when you force a team to articulate a win on a Monday, you are training their brains to look for success.
Oh, wow.
Instead of waking up on Monday dreading the grind and asking, how am I going to survive this week? They start moving through their days actively hunting for something to celebrate.
So they are constantly scanning their environment for positive momentum instead of just waiting for the next catastrophe.
Yes. They are looking for the positive so they can share it on the next call. This builds profound resilience, and resilient teams bounce back from rejected offers and lost listings far faster than teams operating in fear.
Makes total sense.
A resilient team is, by definition, a highly productive team. It creates a compounding effect on your bottom line year after year.
But even if you get recognition right, there is often a deeper identity crisis happening that leads to burnout. If an agent views themselves merely as a grinding salesperson chasing commissions, the emotional tank is eventually going to hit empty.
It always does.
We have to fundamentally reframe their identity and their daily grind to close the loop on why agents burn out in the first place.
We really need to shift the narrative from selling to serving. The most engaged, fiercely loyal agents do not see themselves as salespeople. They view themselves as business owners who are making service calls.
Service calls, I like that.
They are genuinely looking for ways to help people navigate one of the most stressful financial decisions of their lives.
When you reframe prospecting as serving rather than selling, the dread totally lifts. Communication becomes about authentic connection, not applying high-pressure sales tactics. But leaders have to explicitly pass this identity down to their team. There is a specific script for this. A message leaders need to look their agents in the eye and deliver.
It goes like this. What you do matters, and you matter as a person behind the numbers. It acknowledges the intense emotional toll of the job. You tell them that on the weeks when deals fall apart, they don't have to carry that weight alone. You tell them, lean on the team, lean on the training, and lean on me. I believe in what you're building, and I believe in you.
Reflecting on my own career, it is so deeply impactful to hear a boss explicitly say, "You aren't just begging for a check, this is a calling." That level of vocal, unambiguous support is painfully rare in the corporate world.
It really is.
We usually just assume people know we support them, so we don't say it out loud, but actually vocalizing, "This is a calling worth being proud of," physically changes a person's posture.
It changes everything. But there is a vital prerequisite here. A leader can only give this level of grace and this depth of support to their agents if they are actively giving it to themselves first.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Precisely. The best leaders are the ones who commit to their own growth, who are willing to be coached themselves. When a leader invests in their own development and prioritizes their own mental resilience, the whole team feels the difference in how they show up.
Yeah, that energy trickles down.
You have to fill your own cup to have the emotional capacity required to lead others through their hardest days.
So, what does this all mean for you as you head into your week? Let's recap the journey we've been on in this deep dive. Loyalty in your workplace isn't bought with a slightly better commission split. It is earned one genuine moment at a time.
Absolutely.
It's about treating your agents like unique individuals, understanding that the heat you apply to one might ruin another, just like a master chef. It requires operationalizing recognition, installing rituals like the Monday wins of the week to build neurological resilience.
Right.
And above all, it means proving you have their back on the hard days and reframing their hustle as a genuine calling to serve others. There is a very clear call to action here. Pick one agent this week and tell them specifically what you appreciate about them. Don't wait for the annual review.
And as you think about doing that, think about the downstream effect of this entire philosophy. If an agent feels this deeply seen, valued, and emotionally safe with their leader, how does that radically transform the way that agent ends up treating their clients during a stressful emotional home buying process? By leading your agents like a chef, are you actually teaching them to become the chef for their buyers?
That is an incredible point to end on. The way you treat your team is ultimately the way your team will treat your clients. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep serving, and keep looking for those wins of the week. Remember, they might forget what you said, and they might forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Take care, and good luck with your team this week.